So I was watching the movie Past Lives, and oh my god, it was the most boring experience ever. Everyone was just talking the whole time. I heard it was this roller coaster of emotions, so to see if it helped, I rewatched it while actually riding a roller coaster. It only slightly helped.
You guys remember that time Martin Scorsese caught a bunch of crap for saying Marvel movies were kind of like amusement park rides? Pretty sure this is what he was referring to. Films are expensive to make, who knew? And in order to get a lot of them produced, they need to put them in a theater, who charge the masses a premium and give them an experience to where they'll want to come back. Sorry if your floors is still covered in rats, that's a surefire way to make your sales slump. But you need to establish a symbiotic relationship with those pesky studios who take up to 60% of the ticket revenue for themselves. But there's also the concern that the studios themselves will open their own branded theaters. Oh, nope, can't do that. This is where all those $9 gummy bears come into play. Gotta make up the cost somewhere. What if you had your own niches to where you could keep a larger portion of the revenue? Well, that's where we'll get into the wonderful world of gimmicks. This is not a new phenomenon at all. Pretty much since the beginning of cinema, they've been trying to think up new ways of getting as many people in seats as possible. Polyvision screens in the 20s, a flying skeleton over the audience in the 50s. I mean, hell, 3D was created as a gimmick when television started hurting theater attendances.
Well, there's someone with a bag of popcorn.
There's two sides to the argument, though. On one side, you have the purists who say these kinds of things degrade the art of cinema, and the other, you have those who only view it as entertainment.
Both of which have an incredibly narrow media diet. To the snobs, I'm sorry that your girlfriend doesn't want to watch The Tree of Life with you, and to the normies, these aren't masterpieces, it's just your nostalgia talking. There's a balance. While film is indeed an art form, there's also art to be found in entertainment. And if there's some external measure to immerse me even more, then by all means, have some guy punch me in the face while I'm watching Rocky.
You could make the claim that something like IMAX is a gimmick, because yes, something like Dune or Oppenheimer utilize it in an artistic way by shooting on true IMAX film for specific reasons, but it is also widely used to get that extra little bit of cash for theaters. However, stuff like 3D or IMAX I don't think falls in line as a true gimmick. I view these as more optional enhancements than gimmicks. But moving seats? Oh, now we're talking. 4DX and D-Box. Mainly found in the US and Canada, these have this neat little quirk where the seats will shake around dictated by the actions on screen. Think of it like those rides at Disney like Star Tours or Soaring, but here it's an entire film. They also have a few other quirks, like during raining scenes it'll spray a faint mist on you, or if there's wind in the movie they'll blow air on you. But obviously this isn't something suited for every movie. But I think it's an appropriate alternative for certain movies. I say alternative because I don't think a movie should ever be developed to be watched solely in this way. This acts as just an alternative way to view them. If having your chair violently rocked around while watching the Polar Express will immerse you that much more, the option is there. I've only seen 2 movies in 4DX, one of which being the first Harry Potter film, which I hadn't seen before then. Honestly, while I don't think it added a ton to the viewing experience, I don't think it took anything away from it either. Again, I hadn't seen it before, so I still got the complete experience of watching it, just with a little more immersion here and there. Like, the Quidditch scenes definitely benefited from this, but sometimes if there was something like just following along complex camera movements, then that's where it becomes distracting. Like, they just need to fill the gaps if nothing happened for a while. Again, I don't think this is appropriate for every movie, nor is it a substitute for seeing the movie conventionally. However, I do think it is a nice option to have in tandem with traditional theaters. This is what makes it a gimmick. Something to hook potential audiences with an added trait of being there. It's more about the experience you're getting in the theater than the actual movie. You've already seen Top Gun Maverick in theaters, now why not be blown back in your seat by literally having the whole theater shake around? These are modern examples, but there have been plenty over the years. Psycho having the no late admission policy to avoid people spoiling the film. Mr. Sardonicus had 2 endings for the audience to choose from whether to let him live or die, although it's actually up for debate if both endings actually did exist. Smell-O-Vision was also briefly introduced, which was only utilized by one movie, Scent of Mystery. Kinda wish that one was still around though. At the end of the day, however, I think there is something positive to be said about how many of these exist. Yes, they're primarily here to get a few more dollars out of the viewer, but I think it's also indicative of how diverse the movie theater experience can be. You don't just have to see a movie the conventional way, you also have the option of seeing it with all different kinds of bells and whistles. But again, that's mainly what these are, bells and whistles. While I think things like this are overall positives in existing, I don't think a movie ever should be made solely to accommodate any of these features. We already have TikTok influencing how directors work, we don't need more nonsense. But if it leans too far into the experience angle where it's just there for entertainment, then you begin to question the validity of what they're trying to do.
Stuff like 4DX and D-Box has its place, I think. If you want to bring a date to one of these theaters, you'll know they're the one when they can sit through 2.5 hours of that shit. It's a great litmus test. But I think we should only view it in the entertainment/roadside attraction light that we see it in, because before you know it, they'll be shoving gimmicks in our face left, right, and center. I told them the Knife Launcher 6000 was a bad idea. When will they learn?
Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby. Let's all go to the lobby to get ourselves a treat.
Delicious.